Hey there, it's Mario here, and in this video you're gonna learn how to get ripped fast. So what do I mean by getting ripped? Well, getting ripped means that you're reducing your body fat percentage to such a low level that you can see your abdominal muscles anywhere under any lighting. Your body fat should be between about 7 to about 10% for guys. That is typically the amount that we would say, hey, this person looks fucking ripped. And with this video, I'm gonna give you a brain dump. That means that I'm gonna lay out a bunch of concepts. I'm going to lay out a ton of information for you guys, and in the description below I'm going to link up all the videos on specific things that I mentioned in this video, where I go in depth on each one of those, so you can do a little bit more research and you can continue to educate yourself on these things. Because in this video I want to give you an overall big picture and all the little things that matter, so you can look at it as like a fast guide to getting ripped. So let's start off. First thing, as with any goal, you want to make sure that you have a plan. So that means that you simply, hey, what is my current situation and what is the place where I want to be at? So how much weight do I need to lose? How much body fat do I want to drop? And that's a very critical point, because there's going to be thousands of people watching this video, and every single one person will have a different goal and a different path to getting there. Some might need to cut 2 months, some might need to cut 6 months, some might need to cut a whole year, depending on where you're currently at. So now that we kind of, this video is going to be a little bit of a generalization, but I'm going to stick to the very key fundamental points that have been proven by science over and over to get great results, and that will allow you to get ripped fast. So when I say planning, what does that really mean? Well, it means that you want to know your current body weight. You want to know, what's my current body weight, what's my current body fat percentage. You want to estimate your body fat percentage. You can't really measure it, and I talked about this many times. You can't really accurately measure your body fat percentage. You can only estimate that, and you can simply estimate it using various pictures online. You can compare yourself. There's different charts. You can simply Google that. I'm going to leave one in the description below if you want to check that out. And once you figured out your body fat percentage that you currently have, okay, where do I want to be? So you want to be in that range of 7 to 10%. Let's say you want to aim at 10% first. See how much weight do you need to lose, how much body weight you need to drop, assuming that you're going to be losing about 70-80% of body fat and about 20-30% of muscle mass. If you're that intermediate advanced, if you're a newbie, you might not even lose any muscle mass. You might actually build some muscle mass. So take that into consideration. So going further, now that you have an amount, I'm not going to go into math here because I don't want to bore you and put you to sleep, but you can do this because this is like grade 1 level math. It's super easy to determine that. So now that you determine how much weight you need to drop, what is the rate that you can aim for? Well, typically, according to the studies, what people do lose who are above that 12% body fat range would be close to about 1.5% of body weight per week. So that is a nice rate that is very healthy, very sustainable, and it's going to allow you to get to your goal while in return also preserving the most muscle mass you can have. As you get leaner, obviously, as you get closer in that 10-12% body fat percentage, you might dial that down a little bit to maybe 1% of body weight loss per week. So now that you know your rate, now you simply need to determine, okay, what are my current energy needs? Like how many calories do I need to currently eat to maintain my weight? And you can determine that through using a calculator and then measuring yourself multiple times per week. You do set yourself in your plan. There's like a 2-week period where you actually determine, okay, what is my maintenance? You can use tools like MyFitnessPal to help you with that, where you simply put in all your foods and you say, okay, this is the amount of energy, calories that I'm currently eating, and I'm maintaining my weight. Very, very simple. Now that you have that figure, it's very easy to continue because you simply need to dial that down, so reduce your caloric intake, and that will create a deficit where your body will have to fill in that energy gap through burning body fat storage, right? So how much do you cut? Well, you simply start by cutting 15-20% and seeing if you're getting that 1.5% of body weight loss per week. Very, very simple. So you want to be very pragmatic. Okay, am I getting that weekly loss per week? No. Time to cut another 10% of calories, right? That's how you go about things, right? You want to simply adjust, tweak figures until you get to that weekly drop. Another key factor here is that you want to set up your macronutrient intake. So I have various videos on that, many videos. I'm going to link them in the description. But as I said, protein is the most important macronutrient. This is where you want to aim at a decent amount of protein to preserve lean body mass, to also make you feel fuller, to also be able to build more muscle mass. So ideally, you would go about that 1 gram per pound of body weight if you're between skinny and overweight. If you're overweight, you want to simply go at 1 gram of ideal body weight, or if you're super skinny, you want to go as well, but I'm not sure if you want to get ripped fast, because if you're very skinny, you probably want to start building muscle. So that is the first factor you determine. Okay, what's my protein? Then you look at your fat. Fat is going to be between 15 and 30% of your total caloric intake. You can go about this if you enjoy more fatty foods, or if you don't mind eating a little bit less fat. It's personal preference, the less you leave for carbs. Another little key point to determine is your fiber intake, which is very critical for any weight loss diet and simply to be healthy. So a general guideline is a minimum of about 10 grams per 1,000 calories of your food intake, right? So if you're eating 2,000 calories, a minimum of 20 grams of fiber is required, and you want to get that fiber from a variety of different sources in order for it to be very, very effective for a very rich gut microbiota. I would actually recommend going a little bit higher in fiber, so going at least for about maybe 13, 14 grams per 1,000 calories. So that would be coming at around 30 grams for 2,000 calories. So now that you determine that, what are the foods you eat? Well, you eat the foods you like to eat. You simply need to put them in MyFitnessPal and determine how many calories and what are the macros for those simple foods. And then you can kind of create your own meals, and you can kind of create meals out of the foods that you love to eat, right? That is the key point. You don't want a meal plan. You want to create a meal plan yourself, simply by learning and educating yourself on calories and macros. So now that you determine that, few other factors when it comes to nutrition. How many meals per day should you eat? Between 2 and 6 is fine. Typically people get really good results between eating 3 and 4 times. How do you spread those meals around throughout the day? Any time you want. I personally don't like to eat anything as soon as I wake up in the morning, so I like to have that gap of at least 2-3 hours. Some people like to call this Scimitar Fasting. I just call it simply eating when I'm hungry. So if I'm hungry, I get hungry about 3-4 hours for the first meal. Then I'm gonna say, okay, I'm not gonna have my last meal right before bed. I'm gonna have it at least 2-3 hours before bed, just to simply be able to fall asleep. So it really comes down to personal preference. So this timing comes to personal preference. Also, how many meals comes to personal preference. Some people prefer 6, some prefer 2, right? Optimal is probably between like 3 and 4, you know, like in the middle range. So going further than that, do you need any supplements? Well, you don't need any supplements to get ripped fast. And supplements are simply there as tools of convenience, right? So a convenient way to get your protein would be to have some whey protein supplement, because it's a very isolated source of protein. So it's a lean protein source. You don't have to eat any extra additional macros. You can simply get the protein. So I would recommend definitely having some whey protein nearby. Other things that are proven to work are creatine. There's a lot of research on it, no side effects, no excuse not to take it, very cheap. Things like vitamin D, if you're deficient, if you don't get the sun very often, highly recommended. Things like a multivitamin, very cheap nutritional insurance. You want to have that nearby. You can simply go with that 1 a day multi, you know, it's not a big deal. Aside from that, in terms of nutrition, it really comes down to figuring out which foods you can enjoyably eat over time while staying in that caloric deficit. And you can choose to create a complete caloric deficit just purely through nutrition. So you don't need to add any extra crazy amounts of cardio, or you need to add any extra crazy amounts of activity as well. I mean, it's simply a personal choice, and it's always going to be a trade-off. Do I want to create my deficit from simply eating less, or do I want to create more of a deficit through training, which is, by the way, limited according to research, because you can't really train like 5-6 hours a day, and there's side effects to that where your body will burn less calories in a resting state through like different unconscious activity, like modifying your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that is going a little bit too complicated there, but just to say that you want to find a balance between creating that caloric deficit that is required for you to lose 1.5% of body weight per week, either through exercise and diet combined, right? So what do you do for exercise? So now we have the nutrition side of things handled. Well, for exercise, it's very necessary in order for you to look ripped and look good at the same time to build a decent amount of muscle mass, or at least retain the amount of muscle mass you currently have. So for that, we need resistance training. We need some hypertrophy work. We need to stimulate our body, you know, for it to build muscle or retain muscle mass. So that simply means that you want to have a protocol that would allow you to train at least 3 to 5 times a week in the gym. And this is completely depending on your training age, on your needs, and it's very hard for me to tell you, hey, 4 is the optimal amount. The optimal amount is whatever amount of volume you currently need to build muscle or to retain muscle mass. So people will typically recommend programs for beginners of starting 3 days a week and then eventually maybe going through 4 or 5. But an advanced lifter can also progress on a 3-day-a-week plan depending on how much time they have. Also, consistency is really the key here. So if you're looking for a plan, I have a beginner plan in the description below, I have an intermediate plan, I have an advanced plan in the description below. All are free for you to download to start if you're not sure which one to use. A couple of words on cardio. Definitely not necessary in order to lose weight, but some people do prefer to get a little bit of a caloric deficit from cardio rather than really cutting down calories further and further, because they like to eat a little bit more food and do a little bit more exercise because they have time or they simply enjoy cardio, right? So you can choose to spend 400 calories. You can go in a deficit 400 calories through your diet by cutting, let's say, 100 calories for 4 days, or you can do a session of cardio which burns about 400 calories, which would be about 35 minutes on a stationary bike. So it doesn't really matter which approach you choose. There's really no optimal approach. It comes down to consistency of you getting that 1.5% of body weight loss per week. And now the final key factor is measuring your progress. So the measuring your progress factor is very critical here, and you want to use different tools. And on a side note here, you want to take progress pictures. That is probably the best tool you have, is simply the mirror, because the mirror is an accurate representation of whether you're losing fat or not, because you could be building muscle on this diet, on this rapid fat loss diet, and your weight scale will be saying the same fucking number and you're going to be frustrated. But then again, you might be losing body fat and building muscle at the same time. And in terms of using the weight scale, you want to be as consistent as possible. You want to create a consistent environment. I actually made a video how to properly use the weight scale without much of fuck around itis, you know, where people like move around the scale, measure different times of the day, measure with clothes, without clothes, and they get really fucked up measurements. They don't look at the weekly averages, they look at the daily averages, which drives them fucking crazy. They blow the diet. I mean, all these things, there's many different factors here. The key is consistency, right, with measurement and with the tools you're using. So those would be all the fundamentals that are really laid out in this video, like a quick brain dump for you how to get ripped fast. If you simply research each one of these, if you're not sure how to go about them, you will learn everything that you need to know to get ripped fast. And I hope this little guide helped you out. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments below. As I said, this video is going to be a brain dump for you to learn everything that you need to know about how to get ripped fast. It's really as simple as I just said it here. It's simply about consistency and adherence and enjoying the process and doing the things that you enjoy while still being in that caloric deficit through either extra activity or just simply through the diet. Extra activity can either come from exercise or maybe even switching to a treadmill desk and increasing your non-exercise activity, such as taking longer walks in the sun. It's really pretty and gets extra calories burned. And it's really coming down to your personal preference. How do you want to go about that? Final factor obviously is recovery. So you want to make sure that you get enough sleep. Typically between 6 and 8 hours will work for most people. I'm leaning more toward 8 hours and really giving the body as much sleep as it needs. Additionally, you want to take a break from training every once in a while. So by a break, I mean a deload. So every 5th or 6th week of training should be a deload where you go a little bit less volume, cut the cardio a little bit, simply to give your body a break and to reveal all that strength and all that good stuff you built up so you can come back stronger. You simply take 1 step back so you can go 2 steps forward. Same thing with a diet break. When it comes to the diet, you want to make sure that you have certain deadlines in your plan. So let's say if you reached your 1.5% of body weight loss for like 7-8 weeks in a row, you want to make sure to take a break for a week on maintenance calories, simply to allow your body to get used to that new body fat level, to get used to that new, maybe try to set a little bit of a set point, you know, simply check in at a certain level and then see if you're losing weight and you go for maintenance in a week. Maybe you even start losing weight even on a diet break, that then you can just simply extend that for another week and add extra more calories and see how long you can keep that up. And as soon as you start going further than maintenance, you go back into the diet, and this diet break will allow you to recover physiologically and psychologically as well. I mean, this is all the things that you really need to know about how to get ripped fast. Hope this video helped you out. As I said, comments below, all the questions will be answered as always. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, if you enjoyed it, make sure to click subscribe below to support the channel. Also share this video with your friends who want to get ripped fast. Click that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.